I watched the Atletico Bayern Munich game yesterday, Champions League soccer, and Atletico won. They played a great game. Uh, I love Diego Simeone. I tend to root for Atletico when watching La Liga. This isn't meant as a criticism in any way. But today I'm reading a couple of soccer blogs about other coaches who may or may not be replaced in the next couple weeks after the season ends. And there's a common refrain from fans that a coach like Simeone is what coaching is all about. And they do not comment so much on his tactics or his development of players, things of this nature. Instead, they're more reacting to his behavior on the sideline. So for those who don't watch soccer, Simeone tends to be very animated on the sideline, running up and down, getting the crowd involved, looking at the crowd, just about as animated a coach as there is on the sideline. And so a lot of people, both in soccer and basketball, is the same way. They view that as coaching. So to be a great coach, you have to be animated. You have to be up screaming and yelling and cajoling and motivating, and that's what coaching is. And obviously, I think differently. There have been articles this week, conversely, about Brad Stevens, and especially about how calm he is on the sideline and his lack of animation, if you will, on the sideline. He tends to stand with his arms crossed, watching the action. He doesn't jump up and down a lot, doesn't yell and scream a lot. And so there's been a number of articles, this week about how he's kind of, the next great coach in the NBA. And I think Isaiah Thomas is the one, he called him brilliant, and one of the best coaches in the NBA. And so there's that kind of dichotomy between what some players and management especially, what they think of as great coaching, and then what fans tend to think of as great coaching. And unfortunately, when we view youth coaches, high school coaches, we tend to view them with the same mindset as a fan. So when we look at a high school coach or a college coach or a youth coach, we expect that kind of animation that players need a coach to be up yelling and screaming and so forth. The analyst on the Atletico game yesterday even said, that the players were going to need the fans to support them, if they were going to be able to prevail in the game. Something that I've never really necessarily understood so much. But the point is that there's this definite feeling or belief amongst many, many people that that's what coaching is, rather than the work that's done in practice, the subtle adjustments, the tactics, that somebody like Simeone uses to stifle great offensive teams. That kind of gets overlooked because more emphasis is placed on, the fact that he's running up and down the sideline and he shows his emotions, on his face and on his sleeve and things like this. And then that then feeds down, and now you listen to that analyst and you watch that game, and then you go to, your son or daughter's game, in under 14 soccer, and you expect that same type of behavior out of a coach because that's what, you see on TV, and so then you expect that. Where on the other side, while Brad Stevens is a very popular coach, a very well-respected coach, he doesn't engender that type of emotion or feelings, and I rarely hear somebody say, well, I wish my coach showed the same type of emotions as Brad Stevens. And that, again, not a knock on Stevens. He's a great coach, has succeeded everywhere he's been, and more typifies the behavior that I think we should be expecting or hoping or encouraging from coaches, rather than the histrionics and the animation being what we view as real coaching. Instead, I think it's what coaches do in practice that's more meaningful, how coaches relate to players, the system of play that they put in. And I think, I'm not a soccer expert, but I imagine that Simeone's great at all of those things as well. And that's really where his brilliance of his coaching is. And then he just happens to be animated on the sideline as well because he gets really into it. Whereas somebody like Stevens with a more low-key personality is also great at those practice, game planning, slight adjustments, player management, things that are truly coaching, and then he just has a more calm demeanor during the game. So I think that's a lesson that we need to learn as coaches and a little bit as fans, especially fans of our children's or child's team, is not to expect or anticipate or hope for that same type of animation as somebody like Simeone, but maybe something in the middle or something more towards Steven where we're allowing the players to play unencumbered by the yelling and screaming of a coach or the yelling and screaming of the fans. The game should be for the players. Hopefully the coach does most of his or her work during practice, and then the players can go out and perform.